This is the Fantasy Football Game Plan, where we talk about fantasy football and the NFL.
Okay, let's get started. Who do you pick to lose the AFC West, come in last place? We've got four good teams in one division. Who should we start with? Who's going to lose?
Raiders.
Raiders?
Raiders.
Okay. I'm going with you.
I don't know, but we have to start somewhere.
Okay. All right. Well, I think let's start with them. Derek Carr, I think, is going to have a better year because now he's got Davante Adams to throw to. So he's got to be better, right?
I don't know. And that's the problem with Derek Carr, is that he's always on this pedestal of has to be the great, he's going to be great, and he's always just mediocre.
Okay. So, he's got Josh McDaniels now, right? And Davante Adams. He didn't have either of those things last year. He's got one of the best tight ends, and he's got a coach that knows how to use a tight end. Just, put Waller in those situations you used to put Gronk in. See how he does. I think they're going to be pretty good, but I don't know about their defense. What do you think about their defense?
Yeah, bandits, I guess, whatever. Sure. Maybe they're just trying to get as many points in offense, and then defense is just sticking the game.
Yeah. Well, they're going to need to score a lot of points if they're going to be good, because I think the onus is totally on the offense, which might be great for fantasy.
Well, I think this is a good team for fantasy because their running back room is pretty awesome with Josh Jacobs and someone I think that should be put onto RB2 class or RB1. I think with this offense gives a lot of chance for a run game.
Yeah.
If you're spreading those DBs deep or you're shifting them out of the zone, right? You can do counters and play actions. There's just lots of opportunities with this offense.
Yeah, you're right. You can really spread them out. You got all those receiving threats. You got Darren Waller, who we talked about. You got Davante Adams, and you got also Hunter Renfrow is a great slot receiver, one of the best.
Yeah, last year for PPC League, Hunter was, he had a breakout season. He was catching at least 10 to 12 passes a game, and maybe that's still in his realm. Maybe not. You never know. But it's all short passing. But he can get those yards after catches, right?
I agree with you. Josh McDaniels again. Who's he had in the past? Edelman, Welker, right? And when you have a big tight end like Waller playing Gronk's role, you can't focus. You got to pick your poison. If you want to try to take Waller away, Renfro's going to be open. You got Adams on the outside. You got the two good running backs. This is a good situation, I think, for all these guys.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great fantasy pickup. Anybody that we've just mentioned, 3 wide receivers, and then. But I don't know. Carr, to me, yeah, great. He might have a good fantasy year because of his weapons around him, but he's always, to me, been someone who's had so much hype, and I haven't seen production out of him when it comes down to fantasy points. So
I would gamble him as my number 2 QB this year. I think he's going to be a solid pickup, and he'll be usable several times throughout the season, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so you might be surprised, but the team that I think is going to lose this division is the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, well, they lost Tyrann Mathieu on the defense. Their defense wasn't the strength of their team before. They're certainly not going to be better without him. And then they lost Tyreek Hill, who we already talked about. He's gone, which means people are going to be focused on Kelsey. And their running backs aren't that good. And they've got, they brought in Marcus Valdez-Scantling, MVS, we'll just call him. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, MVS. They've got JuJu Smith-Schuster, who might have a decent year. And then they drafted a rookie I mean, he hasn't done anything yet. So, I mean, who's Mahomes going to throw the ball to?
Mahomes were fine receivers, so I don't think you should throw Mahomes out being one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Maybe they don't win the division, but he definitely will throw for potentially another 40 touchdowns this year. Right? I don't see that slowing down.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Really?
Yeah, I totally see that Mahomes will be throwing for just not 50, but I think he's definitely going to be up there throwing the touchdowns. And then we've always had problems with our running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because
Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
because he's just been not a goal line production, because when they get down to the goal line, they kind of seem to go elsewhere than the run game. But they did pick up Ronald Jones from Tampa Bay. So that's an interesting move right there, because Ronald Jones has been kind of sitting on his hands the last 2 years saying, how come they're not playing me? Maybe it's a little bit of a change for that team when it comes to a running back and doing what they need to do. So I think the running back with Ronald Jones would be, I'm not saying starters, I'm just saying, because people might be like, oh, I'm going to go for the big name and go for CEH, and then, Ronald comes in, and, you can pick him up on waiver in week 1 or 2, and, maybe you're laughing at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think those guys are okay. I think, Rojo will get the goal line carries, because from what I've seen of Edwards-Helaire, he just cannot bang the ball in from inside the 5. They've given it to him lots of times, and he always falls down or slips, or ball squirts out, or he gets stuffed, or, it's always ugly. Mm-hmm. I think that's why Rojo's there, just to get those 1-yard touchdowns.
Now, do you still think Kelsey has the same amount of clout out there?
I think he'll be really focused on. So, let's think about this for a second. So, if Mahomes is going to throw 40 touchdowns, is he going to throw 20 of them to Kelsey? I think if you're a defense, you take away Kelsey first and then see what they can do. And that's why I think maybe JuJu is a guy who could have a good year this year. He might be the guy you want on the Chiefs, because he's a decent slot receiver. And if Kelsey's the number 1 and defenses go to him, usually the best cover guys are not on the inside, right? They're taking those wide outs. Skye Moore is the rookie guy that I was trying to figure out that they drafted. He's supposed to be the new Tyreek Hill or MVS, but I don't know how good those guys are, but I think JuJu, you could probably count on him a little bit more, don't you think? Because he's a vet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like JuJu has always been a good fantasy player, and it's interesting to see with so much change in 2022 on people's rosters. This is the year that everyone just sort of got their suitcases ready and all packed up and left and moved on to different avenues. So, the lay of the land of what it kind of was for the past 3-4 years is totally different now going forward. We have a lot of people retired and a lot of people just a total changing house. So JuJu Smith is somebody that we know that has steady hands, which is really important as a wide receiver. We haven't talked about many people that have drop balls in fantasy, and this guy can catch the balls, and at least he has someone now throwing to him that can throw further than 20 yards.
Yes,
accurately.
I agree with you. And speaking of guys that moved on, one of the biggest guys that moved on in this division, Russell Wilson, goes over to Denver. I think they're going to be fantastic because they had everything they needed to win except a QB, and now they have that QB.
Yeah, I think Denver is once again marching its way through the AFC West. But this is probably the best division in football.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be tough for everybody to get the division wins. Maybe they might be able to trample people outside of the division, depending on how their schedule looks. But Russell Wilson joining just the receiving core. Like, I had Cortland Sutton as my guy last year. And, I was biting at my fingernails every week when Jerry Jeudy was stepping up. So, like you having two wide receivers like that on your team that are just so, perfect. So right there, they're top three with Russell Wilson that can scramble. It's going to be some pretty high flying offense, I think, in Mile High for sure this winter.
Yeah. I haven't heard anyone pronounce the tight end's name, so I'm just going to call him Albert O until I find out how you're supposed to pronounce his name. But they've got a tight end there that people are pretty high on because they traded away Noah Fant to the Seahawks in that Russell Wilson deal. So apparently he's good. He's a big guy with great hands. And most of all, the running backs on this team are the guys that everybody wants. Melvin Gordon last year was fantastic. He surprised a lot of people. He was a good pickup, reasonable amount of money in an auction league, a very late one of those. If you drafted him 5th or 6th round in snake and ladder league, he really came through for you. He was healthy. They split the carries, him and Javonte Williams, second-year guy, right? And I think, Gordon signed the 1-year deal. So I think he's there as the transitional guy, and they're going to phase him out and bring Williams in as the featured guy. But last year it was 50-50. So depending on injuries, it could be the same, or either one of those guys could be superstar this year.
Yeah, and Javonte Williams got a lot of hype at the beginning of last year going into the draft. So he got drafted a lot higher than what you think, and Gordon kind of slept. But definitely he's always been good, except for his first year when he played for the Chargers. He couldn't get into the end zone, but that was 8 years ago. That was so long ago. Who remembers those stats?
Yeah, he's always been a good back and sort of always underappreciated, it feels like. And I guess that's why he's bounced around a little bit. But I've never seen anything but great play from him. I mean, and he's got a real nose for the goal line. Melvin Gordon does.
Yeah. So this team is going to be exciting. Their defense is usually always pretty solid. I'm not really too sure if anyone really left from last year, their starting roster. So they should be a pretty high, a pretty good stop defense. Yeah, it's a good team.
Yeah, great team. Yeah, looking for big things from them. But the team I think that's going to win the division is the Chargers.
The Chargers. Oh yeah, another LA team.
Well, they just don't have a weakness, and they've done nothing but just load up on guys all season, including getting Mack from the Bears. So now they got Bosa and Mack pass rushing, and they're just loaded. They're loaded on D. They're loaded on O.
Well, I mean, you know what, Sean? They got to pay for that stadium somehow.
Yeah, well, I think it's also motivating when the team that you share a stadium with wins the Super Bowl and everybody's talking about them. Like, that'll get your attention, right?
Well, what do? Do they just change the flags? Like, 1 week they just fly like teal and yellow, and the next week they fly like they keep the yellow and then just put down the navy.
They're the same colors. They just have to swap the logo. They're yellow and blue. They're yellow and blue. It doesn't matter whoever playing is wearing yellow and blue. Yeah. But yeah, I guess they got to do the logo in the center of the field. But other than that, they don't have to do very much.
Yeah. So Justin Herbert, quarterback, we talked about the Bills in the last episode, and he's this Justin Herbert guy. I've been really excited about him since he joined the league. I think he's just a leader out there. I've seen him just put his nose right into the defensive line and throw the ball. I like this guy as a character, and he's proven so many times over the last 2 years, coming into his 3rd year this year, just as a solid quarterback, just mature man, just coming into the season, into different seasons, as a rookie and then as a sophomore, and now I think he's a standout if you can grab him because we could talk about the wide receivers, but definitely one of those 1-2 punches where you want to stack them up with a wide receiver.
I think Justin Herbert behind Josh Allen would be my second highest rated QB for fantasy going into this season. And he's great when he runs the ball. Doesn't do it enough, but he's got so many guys to throw to. You alluded to it. He's got Keenan Allen, very consistent route runner, not a speed guy, but he gets open. Great route runner. And then Mike Williams is the acrobat on the outside who injures himself catching passes and, misses a lot of time, but what a phenomenal player.
Yeah, but Mike Williams also had a great season last year, but the season prior, it was sort of hit and miss. So it's nice that, maybe Justin has, learned how to throw to Williams, and maybe hopefully that chemistry carries on through for sure. But one thing to note about Justin Herbert is their backup quarterback is that Chase Daniel guy that used to hang out for the Detroit Lions. Now this guy has been in the NFL for like years. He's played he started 8 games, I think, in his whole career, and he's played 14. He is seriously probably the best backup quarterback or coach you could probably ever want. He's almost like a Kubiak under the Denver Elway, he did nothing but except for just teach people. So Justin Herbert having him now here, thrown to Allen, thrown to Williams, thrown to Palmer, this is great chemistry. Don't forget Austin Eckler as a running back pass catcher. Wow, and that guy's grassroots all the way up. I drafted Eckler, I think, first last year, my first round.
Yeah.
He was drafting 7 or 8. He's projected to be number 2 off the board this year.
Yeah, depending on whether or not it's PPR, because I think he catches a lot of balls, and if it's PPR, he's very, very highly rated. Probably number 2. I mean, I don't go for Christian McCaffrey as the number 1 guy. Some people do. I mean, I think maybe it's Eckler. I think you're right. In a PPR, I think Eckler would be the number 1 back.
Well, either that or Najee Harris.
Well, but thing, I think, talent-wise, yes, and opportunity-wise, yes, but the advantage I think that Eckler has is that defense is going to get you the ball back often. I really feel like their defense this year is going to be seriously fantastic. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think adding Mac just frees Bosa up to just go nuts.
Yeah. And Bosa goes 100 every play, right? He never takes never off, he sprints. So that tackle has to be in good shape. Who's ever taking him on, and then you have Matt coming in to do some weaves. Yeah, it's good. It's a good defense.
Yeah.
Going back to the offensive side of the ball, Austin Eckler, great guy, but who's his number 2? Like you've always said, can you pick up the guy and then pick up his backup? Because if there's somebody who goes down or whatever, you want to make sure that you have his backup.
Okay, so that's going to change this year. It's going to change from Joshua Kelly and whoever the other guy was that they were rotating those 2 guys. They went out and drafted a guy named Isaiah Spiller. And he's supposed to be just like Eckler. And I think that Spiller's a guy you want to look at. Eckler's in his prime right now, but 2-3 years from now, if you're in a dynasty league, I think this Spiller guy is going to emerge. He's on a great team. We already raved about the team. He's in a great situation. I mean, Eckler's got a good track record for staying healthy. He's had some pulls and some tears along the way, but he's a pretty durable guy. But if he goes down, this Isaiah Spiller guy is going to get all the work. Yeah, I think, we've covered every team's offseason at this point.
And you're not going to win fantasy without a strong bench, right? Because after week 4, you're going to bye weeks. And, if you have Mac Jones as your quarterback, then you have Mac Jones as your quarterback.
Sorry, Mac. All right. Well, okay. Enjoy the rest of the summer. and can't wait to get back to it just as we're getting into football season.
Nice.
Thanks
All
for
right.
doing this.
All right. Talk to you soon.
You bet. Bye.
Thanks for watching the Fantasy Football Game Plan podcast. Need coaching on your lineup? Drop us a line and we'll discuss your dilemma.